I didn't plan to say those words. I didn't even plan to stop walking. But the moment I saw her sitting alone at that small cafe by the window, stirring a cup of tea she wasn't drinking, something in my chest tightened, and I knew my life was about to split into a before and an after. She looked up just as I froze. The woman who once called me son, the woman who held my hand when her daughter broke my heart, my ex's mother, on a blind date that clearly never showed up. And before fear or logic could stop me, before the past could warn me, I stepped forward and said the most reckless, honest thing I had ever said in my life. Do you want to marry me? The silence that followed was loud enough to keep you listening, because nothing about what happened next was simple, expected, or safe. I hadn't seen her in almost 2 years. After my ex and I ended things, painfully and publicly, I disappeared from their family's orbit entirely. No texts, no holidays, no polite check-ins, just distance. Seeing her there, shoulders slightly slumped, eyes tired but kind, pulled me backward in time to dinners filled with warmth I no longer had. She smiled when she recognized me, but it was a careful smile, one shaped by loss and confusion. She laughed when I said it. Not cruelly, not mockingly, just a soft, disbelieving laugh, like someone hearing a joke when they weren't ready to smile. You don't propose to people you run into by accident, she said. I know, I replied, sitting down anyway. But you also don't look like someone enjoying a blind date. She sighed, finally pushing the untouched tea aside. He canceled 15 minutes ago. Said something came up. I nodded. Funny. Life does that a lot. We talked. At first about nothing. Weather. The cafe. How strange it was to run into each other. But slowly, the real conversation crept in. She told me about the loneliness that followed her divorce, about how everyone assumed she was fine because she smiled so easily. I told her about the emptiness after loving someone who couldn't love me back the same way. You were good to my daughter, she said quietly. Even when she didn't know how to be good to you. I loved her, I said. But I think I loved the family more. Her eyes softened, and that's when I realized the feeling in my chest wasn't nostalgia. It was recognition. She had always listened to me. Always seen me. In ways her daughter never could. I left that cafe with her number saved in my phone and a strange promise hanging in the air. We didn't call it a date. We didn't call it anything. But we both knew something had begun. The next few weeks were filled with long walks, shared meals, and conversations that felt dangerously honest. We spoke about fears most people hide until it's too late. About aging, regret, the terror of starting over when society says you shouldn't. Every time I laughed with her, guilt followed close behind. Not because of what we were doing, but because of who she was. I don't want to hurt my daughter, she said one evening, staring at the city lights. She's fragile, even when she pretends not to be. I don't want to hurt anyone, I replied. But I also don't want to keep pretending this isn't real. The truth was, it was real. Terrifyingly real. And just as we admitted it to ourselves, the world pushed back. My ex found out. She showed up at my door one night, anger barely holding together her heartbreak. Of all the people in the world, she shouted, you chose my mother. I didn't choose to fall, I said calmly. But I won't lie about it. Her mother stood behind me, silent, trembling. And that's when the hardest truth surfaced, not love, not betrayal, but responsibility. The weight of choices that don't just belong to us. Days passed in silence after that. Confrontation. No messages. No calls. I assumed it was over. That what we felt had been crushed by reality. But then she knocked on my door. I've spent my whole life choosing what was easier for everyone else, she said, tears in her eyes. I won't do it again. She didn't ask me to protect her. She asked me to stand with her. We faced the fallout together. Family whispers. Judgment. Awkward conversations. Some doors closed. Others surprised us by opening. My ex didn't forgive as quickly, but time softened the anger into understanding. Not acceptance, not warmth, but peace. Months later, we went back to the same cafe. She ordered tea again. This time, she drank it. I still can't believe you asked me that day, she said, smiling. I meant it, I replied. I still do. When I asked her properly, no shock, no audience, no confusion, she said yes with a certainty that quieted every doubt I'd ever had. Love doesn't always arrive the way we expect. Sometimes it comes wrapped in mistakes, in uncomfortable truths, in paths we never imagined taking. But when it's real, it doesn't ask for permission. It asks for courage. And if you're still listening, still wondering whether it's too late to choose happiness, remember this: the bravest love stories don't begin with perfect timing. They begin when someone dares to say the honest thing out loud and refuses to let fear have the final word.